It's the Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast. Today is December 6th, Tuesday. Nick Testoni, as always, your host, joined by Joe Briner, my co-host. Joe, I think my team, I don't know what's going to happen this week, but I don't think anybody wants to see my team in the playoffs. I've been a wagon the last 5 weeks, and I'm still losing because everybody puts up points against me. And before you even say a word, don't worry, I did the math. I took into account already week 13 stats. Through 13 weeks, people are scoring on average 140 points against me. And I don't want to really shit on you here, but your team's been kind of stinky lately. And you don't know what, for the whole year, what people are scoring against you on average? 120. And I'm taking it right up the butt.
I mean, stinking it up lately, it may be a stretch considering I had 150, 151, and now put up 135 with Kenneth Walker getting injured in the first quarter. But that's neither here nor there. I am going to be on a 2-game L streak, even with putting up 135. I mean, not a great week, but it's definitely good enough for a win. If you go across the league, I would have beat a decent amount of teams, but I'm a little upset with Kenneth Walker, to be honest, because I'm not trying to cry over spilled milk here. I will have 2 back-to-back losses, which sucks, but obviously I have the playoffs locked in, so I'm not necessarily worried about that because I didn't think I was going to get the bye. But the Kenneth Walker news is something that I'm looking out for very closely.
Well, let's get right
I don't appreciate the early shot, by the way. I can't control what goes on against me. All I can do
can't
is
control it either,
team.
but it's shocking.
And if you look at my weekly averages, I would like to argue that it's probably top 3, if not top 4, and I'm sitting in the 3 spot. So
all I'm saying is you're the guy here right now, so I'm going to go after you. All I'm saying is I have 4 wins on the year. I'm looking for a 5th. Or actually, do I? I don't even know what my record is. I have 4 wins on the year. I'm looking for a 5th. And every time I have to get a win, it seems like I have to put up more than 150. I can never just cruise to a 130 win or 120 win like Jackson did this week.
Yep, it's crazy. Yeah, there's like 4 of us that have under 1,500 points against. 3 of us are in the top 3, and then 1 of us is Spano.
Enough said. Let's get to the news, Joe. You talked about Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, brutal.
I don't know what a jammed ankle is.
I don't know either, but it doesn't sound good.
Results. No. They also lost DJ Dallas in that game. So Travis Homer, who was out, I guess, steps into that role, but
Tony Jones
real
Jr.
thin in the Seattle backfield.
Stepped in as well.
Who did?
I didn't know that Tony Jones Jr.
Oh, I didn't even know he was still alive, the former Saint.
I didn't realize that, somewhat of a high ankle issue is what the quote is from Pete Carroll about DJ Dallas. I didn't know that happened. That makes sense why Tony Jones was getting so much work, so I thought DJ Dallas would have gotten all of it.
Lamar Jackson, his knee, did not return. He's week to week. They call it a mild knee sprain. I don't want to talk about this more because I took 59 phone calls yesterday in the Ravens postgame show about Lamar Jackson, so I'll let you go ahead and talk about this.
Well, I was just going to mention that this really sucks because he's been dealing with injury every single week. He's been like a non-participant for most of the week for some different injury. So this really sucks to see him actually get an injury that takes him out of the game. Speaking of this, just talking about knee injuries, did you see the Trevor Lawrence hit that he came back and played? He doesn't even have an injury designation.
Because he's a god.
That was crazy.
I started him in a league over Kirk, which was the right move. In fact, you know how I usually start Kirk in all 3 leagues? I didn't start him in any league this week, and it was the right move.
Nice.
But yes, I saw the hit because that was 1 o'clock, and then I was like, great, that sucks, because I think his first half was pretty rough. I think he had around 4 points or something. The whole Jacksonville effort this week was not what I expected.
Yeah.
But he came back out. I saw the highlight. He was like, I think the line started with the ball in the second half, so it wasn't like right after halftime, but it was like during the kickoff. They showed him running out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like something out of a movie, except they never even made it close, so it really didn't have a happy ending.
Yeah, I thought that game was going to be a lot closer than it was. Detroit went up early, and Jacksonville did not have a response at all.
Cortland Sutton. So I'll be honest, I didn't see a lot of this Broncos-Ravens game, even though I do watch it. But I watched the first half, and nothing happened. It was just a very bad half. In the second half, I was driving to work, and the one road that leads to where I go was shut down the entire day for a Christmas parade. So I spent 50 minutes about a mile and a half away from where I worked, and I went 6 different places, like trying to get in. I finally found the way, and as I was walking in the stadium or into the building, I found out the Ravens have scored, and I'm like, my God! I got the notification they scored a touchdown, and then I went upstairs into the my studio, and then I find out McManus has taken a field goal to win it, and he missed it. But yeah, I missed a lot of that game. But
yeah, you didn't miss much because that game, from an offensive standpoint, was gross. So it was the right one to miss, and you guys still clawed out with the win at the end. I don't know who it was. Was it Kenyon Drake? Somebody ran the ball in at the end of the game. Might have been Tyler Huntley. Was it? Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, it was a great.
Yeah, no, but I didn't see Sutton active. In fact, the only person I saw, I mean, we'll get to it. I think Dulcich, obviously, I think had a pretty good day.
Yeah, he did.
Which was weird because I didn't start him. It would have helped me, but I wouldn't have. I didn't like the matchup. And then I don't think that Jerry Jeudy did play, but I don't think he did
4
much.
for 65. But yeah, Cortland Sutton had an illness throughout the week. He wasn't practicing at all. So I was pretty skeptical of him playing in general. I actually sat him, luckily, because he was in my flex until I saw the illness pop up. And I never saw any injury news about the hamstring. So this was a weird one. It does say hamstring on ESPN when you scroll down, and that's why he left early in the game, only had 1 target, I assume in the first quarter, and did not return after that. So that's not looking good either. Yeah.
Hayden Hurst, calf. I thought you said it was concussion.
Yeah, I thought it was a concussion too. Earlier, watching this game, I was almost positive that they were talking about a concussion. He got his helmet taken away, but then once again, another thing that I'm a little confused about on the ESPN app, it says is a mild calf injury. So,
well, he left pretty early on, left you out to dry.
Yeah.
And I saw one thing that said he was out, and one thing he's doubtful. He's probably not playing next week.
Yeah, on ESPN it says doubtful already, and it does say calf will be listed as doubtful for Sunday's matchup against the Browns. So super weird. I thought it was a concussion.
Well, maybe.
I know this next one's definitely a foot.
He got bent back and his calf hit himself in the head. Jimmy G broke his foot. He's done for the year. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Tell me how many times you're going to hear that for the rest of the year. Every person talking about him.
As many games as he starts, you will hear that.
Treylon Burks. This is the second time this year that someone's caught a touchdown pass while being knocked out, it looks like.
2 rookies, too.
Yeah, Treylon Burks, he got concussed as he caught his first touchdown pass. The one touchdown he had earlier. Well, last week, he fell on a fumble in the end zone, but he was really looking good.
Yeah, he was.
I kind of hope he comes back because they look terrible, and Derrick Henry looks terrible. Yeah,
I don't know what's going on with the run game. They could not get it going against Philly. But I think it was Scott Hansen on Red Zone said how memorable Treylon Burks' first 2 touchdowns are going to be. He recovered a Derrick Henry fumble in the end zone for his first ever, and then he gets concussed and is unable to come back into the game for his second one that he held onto the ball. So pretty crazy. But there's some significant news in here with some big names that are unknown for the future.
You're missing the biggest one.
Which one?
Baker Mayfield got cut today.
Oh, yeah.
By the Carolina Panthers. So don't have to worry about him throwing passes to DJ Moore anymore.
Yep, that happened during the school day today, so I didn't have time to add it on here, but you're right. There's thoughts in the air lingering that maybe that Baker Mayfield asked for this and that he's hoping that the 49ers will scoop him up. Yeah, I'm not thinking so, but I think that's his hope, considering
he's going to the Texans.
49ers may be looking for a little depth at the quarterback position. I know they did sign Josh Johnson off Denver's practice squad as well.
Really? Josh Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
He's a former Raven.
Yeah.
And you know who else is a new Raven?
He's a former Washington Commander.
He's a former everything.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
Shout out, he's becoming the ultimate journeyman. Do you remember? I don't know what your baseball knowledge is. The ultimate journeyman, Edwin Jackson, former pitcher. I think he was a national. Edwin Jackson played for like 15 teams.
I'll take your word for it. Obviously, I know who Edwin Jackson is, but I don't know.
Josh Johnson's becoming the Edwin Jackson of the National Football League. But I will say the Ravens, with the Lamar thing week to week, they signed Brett Hundley. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Packers, Browns.
Mm-hmm.
He might have been a Notre Dame kid. But he was on the roster preseason, practice squad at times, and they took him off it. But he was signed today to the active roster as the backup. I don't think Lamar's going to play for a week or two. And just saying, They play Pittsburgh next week in Pittsburgh, and there's a 40% chance of snow. Yeah, there's no chance of putting them out there
Yeah,
on that.
no way. I think Lamar is probably going to get held out as long as possible and hoping that Tyler Huntley can kind of scrape up a couple wins before they get to their playoff push is when I would assume that if he's able, Lamar would come back towards like week 16, maybe week 16 if they're needed. If they already have the playoffs locked in by then, if Tyler Huntley is able to hold it down, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't get him back into the playoffs, but we'll see.
Well, you know what the Ravens have really become? Maybe not that much, but without Lamar, and even Lamar was a tough start, they're getting real close to that. I wouldn't start a single player on their team.
I know, because even I thought Gus Edwards would have been a decent play. I mean, obviously it was a bad matchup, but they were rotating Gus, Kenyon Drake, and Justice Hill the entire game. It was gross.
Terrible. And honestly, he looked pretty good, like the old Gus when he first came back, but since the hamstring injury in the Buccaneers or Saints game, I believe, one of those games, Saints maybe, he's not looked good. And he fumbled last week, which kind of was a key thing.
Mark Andrews' last 5 games, 0.4 points, 6.3, 12.3. All right, but that's still not the Mark Andrews you expect. 11.0 and 9.4. Those are his last 5
not scoring
games
touchdowns.
played. No, they're not.
No.
The passing game is MIA.
And not Miami. Let's get to the irrelevant TDs of the week.
Who in the blue hell are you?
Okay, so not a huge list this week. Not like last week, but they're just, and we'll even say the Soups and Tylers are not that big a list either.
It's not.
Or I should say the Soups. There's just not a lot of scoring this week, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll start in Baltimore. The only touchdown scored in that game, Tyler Huntley sneaks it in from about 3 yards out, and the Ravens score the only touchdown of the game. And I believe I listened to Fantasy Footballers today. Could you imagine being someone on the Denver defense holding the Ravens to 3 points for 55 minutes?
Could you imagine the Denver defense this entire year? This is literally, I mean, this was the worst one yet of how well they shut down the opposing offense, and their offense for Denver still couldn't score. This was easily the worst one, but it's been the entire year. This poor defense has been shutting it down. I mean, any other team, I would argue any other team except maybe the Texans would have a better record than the Denver Broncos right now if they use their offense.
Let's go to Pittsburgh. This game is in Atlanta, but Pittsburgh player Connor Hayward, the rookie tight end, scores his first career touchdown. Interesting, he's the brother.
Yep, I was going to say this had some family ties.
Yeah,
their
father,
Atlanta,
who played for Atlanta, I think passed away not too long ago. So it was a pretty cool moment for the Haywards.
Yeah, it was. I saw Cameron had his dad's old jersey on in the post game. Cool. I thought that was cool.
And by the way, Cam Hayward's been in the league for a long time. I don't know what the age gap is between these two brothers.
Is Connor, did you say he was a rookie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
The Giants, I had a real gripe with the Giants. I'll get to that later. Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver 1, scores a touchdown. Yeah, he actually had a really nice route, but I mean, I wish it was Saquon.
Yeah.
0.1% of leagues. Miami, Trent Sherfield. Looked like Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill. He hit a nice little slant route, and bam, he was gone. 0.6% of leagues. Not the guy you're looking for there.
With our bonuses, he had 1 catch. I don't know what his full stat line was. It might have been this. 1 catch for 75 yards because it was the first play and a touchdown. He had like 17 and a half fantasy points. Yep. I think he might have. I don't know if he did more after that. I'll look it up real quick while you keep going. But
San Francisco, the former Raven, Kyle Juszczyk. Everyone loves when the fullback scores. 0.5% of leagues. In Cincinnati, Chris Evans got a touchdown. That was really easy, too.
Yeah, it was.
Not good defense. 0.6% of leagues. And in Indianapolis, Ashton Dolan scores 0.1% of leagues. Now, there was a guy or two for Dallas that scored. I didn't put them on here because everybody scored for Dallas, so I didn't think it was...
Yep. Yeah, understandable.
Zeke, Pollard... I guess Schultz is the only one who really didn't have a good day, but Gallup scored, Lamb did. You got your points. Schultz was the only one who didn't, but when you score 54 points, come on.
Trent Sherfield, 1 catch, 75 yards, and a touchdown, by the way. Good. 3 targets.
3 targets. There you go. Jalen Waddle. Yep. We should have put that in there, by the way, in the news. Jalen Waddle was all game.
I had it on there, and I had it.
He has no report today?
But he has nothing on there. Like, I literally had Jalen Waddle leg injury because I remember seeing it. But then
one catch at the end of the game.
Yeah, and because he came back in the game, and that's why I just assumed. I was like, I guess he's all right. I don't really know, but that's definitely something to mention and monitor, the leg injury for Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, he did not look very good, and he only had one catch. He was almost goosed.
Yeah.
But let's get into the good, Joe. How about the soups of the week?
How about the soups of the week?
You like that? You like that?
You know this guy very well. He was on your team for a little while. Starting off, we have 3 guys got over 30 points in our league. AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just 3 stud wide receivers.
2 of those guys I played against this week.
Dude, the Sun God. I know Tyreek and Amon-Ra against you. The Sun God has been getting it done in Detroit, which is awesome. There's not that many names here today, but keeping it rolling. We have some guys that scored over 20 points. In the past, we've had 40 and 50 plus on our little show doc here, but not today. These guys scored over 20 points. Not that many names. Stephon Diggs, Christian McCaffrey, Devonta Smith with a big highlight week, even with AJ Brown getting it done as well. Keenan Allen, I put on here first time this season. Shout out Keenan Allen, his first ever soup of the week appearance. Terry McLaurin, Christian Watson, 8 touchdowns in 4 games. The man finds the end zone. I mean, stud. I think he only had 4 catches.
They called him Christmas Watson.
Yes, I saw that. 3 catches, 48 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The man just finds the end zone. DK Metcalf, this game ended up being a lot closer and a lot higher scoring than probably most people thought. And with that being said, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both find their way on this list. Obviously, Kenneth Walker, you'd like to see on this list. He's going to be mentioned in a little bit, but not with the injury. Josh Jacobs. Yeah, Josh Jacobs, no surprise there. He gets it done. DeAndre Swift. I pause for dramatic effect because let's go. Finally, DeAndre Swift.
Hold on one second. Being. I just realized there's someone missing from this list who was the leading scorer on the week.
Who is it? They must not be rostered in our league, or
he's starting in my lineup. He had 39 points.
Davante Adams.
Yeah.
You're right.
Give the man some credit.
I missed that. That's on me. Davante Adams, the number 1 scoring wide receiver, the number 1 wide receiver on the season. After,
and the reason I wanted to say that, I just thought of it is because
that's a good call. That's on me.
Very interesting because I saw it. Josh Jacobs is RB1 on the year, and Davante Adams is wide receiver 1. Both play for the same team.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. Well, Derek Carr, 250 passing yards and 177 of them to Davante Adams. So,
well, you feed the man.
That math definitely adds up there. So yeah, I'm sorry, Davante Adams for sure at the top of this list. Almost got to the 40+ point in our league. CeeDee Lamb with just an awesome touchdown to get the game going Sunday Night Football. When he was getting tackled, went on top of the guy, spun around, still scored. Samaje Perine filling in nicely for Joe Mixon back-to-back weeks. Tony Pollard looking explosive. Already mentioned Tyler Lockett, and Garrett Wilson rounds out this list, a new guy on your roster here. Some QBs, we have Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, both got over 30 points. For us, Jalen Hurts just got it done on the ground, in the air, everything. Joe Burrow, even with the rushing touchdown. Justin Fields had like 20 points in our league at halftime and finished with 24, I think. So that was definitely a little disappointing, but still finds his way up here with a killer first half. Geno Smith and Taylor Heineke actually throwing a couple touchdowns, finds his way on this list as well, with a few guys notably in the upper teens like Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, guys like that, Derek Carr, just sneaking out of this top list, considering Taylor Heineke finished with about 20 fantasy points, I believe.
Yeah, Mo, that team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
And then we have, this is where the injuries, my starts of the week, all that sort of stuff comes up down here.
By the way,
let me hop down
before
to the
you
Tylers.
hit that, my starts of the week, decent days. They didn't boom, but Christian Kirk had 17. Thanks for asking. And David Montgomery, I think, had about 16 and a half. So,
yeah, it sucks that Kareem Hunt's on this list. When I started the week, he just under
awful.
I know, but he had a lot of usage, so that's he did. That's what I was banking on, but it just didn't turn into anything. Sadly, he finished with like 9 points something. Kenneth Walker at the top of this list here with the ankle injury, obviously. Definitely sucks. Tyler Higbee, Cortland Sutton with the goose egg. We already mentioned him.
Did you play Sutton? No, there's no way you played Sutton.
No. I had him in the flex, but the illness that I saw and he wasn't practicing all week, I took him out. I actually plugged in Zeke, which was the correct option between my few options, so that's nice, but didn't end up being enough. Jalen Waddle as well. I don't have any injury on here like I like I usually would if they're injured, because I'm a little confused. I'm not certain if this is going to be something that will affect the future or not with the leg injury that he had, but came
He
back
did
in the
miss.
game.
Yeah, I mean, he missed a good amount of the game, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Dalton Schultz also on here. Amari Cooper, road Amari Cooper has never gotten to double-digit fantasy points. Antonio Gibson.
Unbelievable.
I think Antonio Gibson was dealing with a little injury during the game, but came back.
He had like no touches.
Yeah, Brian Robinson definitely took over. Doo-doo Smith Poopser makes his way back on this list. Mark Andrews, Michael Pittman. This was
I was concerned about Michael Pittman.
Andy. Michael Pittman not having a good week against Dallas. Matt Ryan throwing 18 interceptions. That was a pivotal,
like a Madden game at the end.
Pivotal point for Andy and Bryce's matchup. Huge for you as well. Huge for all the guys. The guys fighting down at the bottom. But I know that one was a tough one. Dawson Knox, he got a tackle, but he didn't get any catches. Kareem Hunt, George Pickens, both my starts of the week. The George Pickens one is shocking to me personally.
Did you see all that stuff?
I did not. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know if he got in trouble, but he came to the sideline and threw his helmet down. He was saying, "Throw me the damn ball." Actually, he said, "Throw me the fucking ball." Actually,
I don't think Mike Tomlin rocks with that.
No, he was not happy. Deontay.
No wonder Deontay got all 11 targets.
I heard that narrative about 6 times. Like 12th in the league in targets.
No wonder
he dropped a couple. He had a couple bad drops.
I definitely saw at least one.
Yeah, so Deontay Johnson continues. I don't see him on any of these lists. I
don't have him on this list. Well, he did get 11 fantasy points, so he wouldn't have been on it. But
I'm saying I wouldn't.
I don't really know if he's I don't know if he's really getting started like that often anymore. Like I think people have.
Well, everyone's trying to convince people to.
Yeah, people have stuck him on the bench, but I don't think kept him on the bench. But I don't think he's getting started that often. Hayden Hurst.
I have to find it real quick. I'll go find it. I'm going to tell you. I'm seriously like his floor is always like 4 or 5 points. He hasn't scored a touchdown this year, and I don't think he scored over like 14 points once this year.
Yeah, no, you're definitely
you keep going, but I'll find it.
Hayden Hurst on here, we already mentioned, got injured. Apparently the calf. I thought it was a concussion. Jamal Williams scored 9 fantasy points with a touchdown. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah, that rat did it again. And
I know. Another 1-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I know.
DeAndre Swift looked great. It was so good. It was awesome.
Did you see now he has as many touchdowns as the Broncos offense does this year? Jamal Williams.
They have 14 touchdowns. I think that's the number Jamal's at. 14. Yes. Oh my God. I did not know that. That is absurd. But Jamal Williams, the 1-yard touchdown king, finds it again. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, was the guy that got tackled at the 1. Adam Thielen makes this list. Gabe Davis, another guy that scored a touchdown and only scored 9 fantasy points. Hard to do. Derrick Henry with a big dud against Philly. George Kittle, him and Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, in case you didn't know. They didn't have a connection there. Nick Chubb, a little shocker. This game was weird. Weird.
They didn't score an offensive touchdown.
No, and they scored over 20 points. Yeah. So Tyler Conklin didn't goose you, but did not have a good week. Travis Etienne, the Jags just got down early, and Etienne wasn't crazy involved in the passing game as you might have expected. Yeah, and he fumbled. Yep. TJ Hawkinson, and a shocker, maybe I think the second time he's actually been in single digits the entire year. Travis Kelce rounds out the Tylers of the week.
Too. I think that's probably what put him there. So for 2 things, I just thought of one other thing. Irrelevant TDs of the week, we have our second player who is no longer eligible, and he's probably my favorite name. Michael Pruitt scored his 3rd touchdown of the year.
For who?
The tight end from Atlanta.
Oh.
You don't know who that is? Michael,
I don't
M-Y
remember.
Cole.
I remember the name, but I didn't remember who it was
3rd
for.
time, so he's off the list. So I just thought I'd say that. And Deontay Johnson, by the way, has scored 16 points once, and then he's never hit 14 again. That's been his year. He hit 16 week 3.
He gets the targets. That's all I know.
He's averaging 10 points on the dot. So that's why you don't see his name on the list that often.
I think Travis Kelce finished 7.6. So the fumble, he would have still snuck on this list, actually. Yeah, we have some dud QBs. Lamar Jackson with the injury. This one kind of sucks, but that's just how it goes. With the bottom QBs, like all the guys on the Tylers that have the injury, they still get put on here. Deshaun Watson just looked terrible, to be honest. His first
he looked bad.
Looked terrible. Dak Prescott,
balls and ankles.
Trevor Lawrence, and Tua all finished in the teens, but was not enough to break out of the bottom starting options, of course, at the bottom QBs of the week. Kind of. I mean, unless your name is Testoni or Soup, you really didn't have a crazy high scoring week. I mean, Diego did find the 151 mark. He had four 20-point players. Sam Smith in the 40s. I'm in the 30s. Soup's in 30s, or Spanish in the 30s. I mean, and besides that, some dud matchups, to be honest.
Always making me work.
Yep,
Oh,
exactly. That wraps up the Soups and the Tylers, though. Not a huge list for either side. Just kind of a low week
meh.
for except a few boom guys, and they're all stud wide receivers.
Couple of boomers.
Yep.
Joe, the fantasy matchup recap. This is crunch time,
Yep.
playoffs, and
It's a pretty quick one though, actually, for this.
I'll tell you pretty much how it's lined up right now is last place is being fought over by about honestly like 3 or 4 teams.
I think Spano might
And-
have just worked him way out of the fight.
Yeah, and well, I will say if Andy loses tonight, he's locked in.
Yeah, I believe so.
But
So we could have our
playoffs, I think there's about 4 spots, 3 technically locked up, but mainly 4. And you got to get to 6 wins. And with Sam Smith, I'm going to ruin it. Sam Smith got to win. That leaves only
Yep.
1 spot left.
Yep.
And Jake Wills is trying to hold on to it. I don't know if he's going to get there. I don't know who's playing a quarterback
Well,
next week, but go ahead.
I think it actually might be a little trickier because if Soup wins and Sam Smith wins, they play each other. Which Sam Smith already won. He beat me. They play each other next week.
Oh my.
So that could make it strange because Diego's going to get a win, or assuming Diego gets a win, excuse me. And if Jake Wills gets one more win next week, it would be a lot of tiebreakers. So it could
Bust out the
it could be
calculator.
funky. So far, Jackson is in first, Derek in second, and me in third are all 100% locked in. Andrew Atkins, if he gets the win, he'll be locked in as well this week. And besides that, fighting for the bottom, fighting for the playoffs. It's all over the place. So Sam Smith did beat me. Sam will move to 7-6. I'll drop down to 8-5. I am on a 2-game losing streak. First 2-game losing streak of the season. It hurts that it's now. It hurts with an injury.
Welcome to the club.
But yeah, I can't, like I said, I wasn't trying to, I can't complain too much because I wasn't expecting the bye because Derek's team has been getting it done. So I'm not necessarily too upset about the loss. I told Sam Smith that I wasn't too upset about the loss, even though I want to win every week. But at the same time, I'm just most upset with Kenneth Walker and hoping that can bring some positive news when we get the test results back. Our only other matchup.
They're going to send it to us.
What?
When we get the test results back, they're going to send it personally.
Well, yeah, they're going to send it to me, obviously, first.
I fax it in.
Kenneth Walker, manager. I do have him in every league except one. And even in Dynasty, 2 days ago, me and my co-manager in Dynasty, we traded of a 2024 first round and a 2024 second round pick, I think, for Kenneth Walker.
My God.
And he gets injured 48 hours later.
Well, so I remember the original Ken Walker, who I had in all 3 of my leagues, named Rashad Penny. So how about you pour one out for a good old Rashad?
I had Rashad Penny too in two other leagues. But the other matchup that is final is Spano, who's going to move up to 5-8, has beaten Jake Wills. Spano is, I think, out of last place contention following that, assuming that.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so
Spano's and he cannot get to. Oh, actually, yeah, I guess he's, whatever. Yeah. He's probably out of it, yes.
Yeah, 99% sure. Jake Wills got the loss against Spano. He's going to move to 6-7, and that makes it very tricky for the playoffs, like I mentioned. So I'm not going to go through it all because I'll talk about the playoff implications a little bit. But Bryce and Andy facing each other, big Monday Night Football implications with Mike Evans, Atkins and Jackson, big Monday Night Football implications with Chris Olave, Ryan Suckup, and then for Jackson, Alvin Kamara. See what happens there. Jackson's looking pretty promising there. Derek and Diego also have Monday night with Chris Godwin, the only player left, with Derek needing about 27 from him. And then you and Soup have a big Monday night. You need Taysom Hill and Devin White to combine for 20 fantasy points, actually 19.8.
Thank you.
So we'll see what happens there. Devin White, I was looking at this earlier this morning, actually. Devin White, since week 1, has not put up back-to-back double-digit fantasy days. Just throwing that out there.
God,
he did indeed score 17 points last week for you. So
he had a bye week. And in between the bye weeks, he scored 21 and 17.
You're right, but can I give you some good news? The last time that he has scored double-digit fantasy points in back-to-back weeks, the second week was against the New Orleans Saints.
Mm.
Just to throw that out there.
The Taysom Hill is the real wild card here.
Yes, for sure.
This, this could be anything.
I would imagine that you would have, if you could go back in time, you would have played Greg Dulcich. Yeah. But yeah, I was just going to go through that real quick because looking at the playoffs, if Atkins loses, it could be even crazier because we'd have we've had 2 7-6 teams if Atkins loses. Jake Wills and Soup and possibly Diego would be 6-7 if they all won. If those two won and then Jake Wills lost, and then week 14 could be bananas, tiebreakers left and right. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in contention for 3 spots, I believe. So it could get crazy.
Madness.
And then down at the bottom, just highlight that a little bit. Bryce, Spano got the win. Bryce, you and Andy. You and Bryce are 4-8. Andy's 3-9. Andy and Bryce are playing against each other right now, so this one is huge. Bryce needs Mike Evans to score like 7 fantasy points, which you would assume, but Mike Evans of late has not been able to really get it done.
Mike. So. Come on, Mike.
So it's going to be close, and depending upon that, if Andy loses, like you said, if Andy loses and you win, I think it's over, right?
Well, how about this? How about I expose everything right now? I just pull the sheet out from this whole mirage. Our fearless commissioner, I have on record, he asked Jackson in week I don't know
I heard about this.
He asked Jackson if he would throw it. Are you hearing this? He would ask him if he would throw it.
I do. I remember he did bring that up. He said that apparently the first season of this fantasy league that they did that to Griffin.
Wow.
I don't know. I
wasn't in on that. We weren't in on that.
No, well, maybe it was.
We were just fighting for playoffs.
Weren't we in the? Yeah, no. We had not. We weren't at the top or at the bottom that year, but we were in the league, right? That was the year when Griffin lost. That was me and you were together.
Yeah, we lost to Sam James in the playoffs.
So I guess that was the second. That was the second year, actually. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But depending upon Mike Evans, it may be unnecessary.
I just want it to be out there that this should be known. This guy is as corrupt as it gets. I mean, I stand by him sometimes, but this is ridiculous. This guy is asking. This is the commissioner of the league who complains about all this stuff. And now he's asking someone. I want everyone to hear this. The commissioner is asking someone to throw a game so he doesn't come in last. Just throwing it out there. This league needs. I mean, we need to go through thoroughly and do some checks this offseason to fix some of this stuff.
We need to grind out the crud at the bottom of this league.
This is ridiculous. We need a meeting. There's people calling for people to be out of the league. I mean, should I even say it? Like, there's people who call for Spano and Diego to be thrown out of the league.
I mean, those are the two names that would...
And now we have the commissioner getting in on this tomfoolery. This is not Deflategate. This is, I don't even know what you call it. Tankgate.
Tankgate. Oh, the opposite of tank.
Well, he's asking him to tank.
I guess he's asking Jackson to tank, yeah, but he's not tanking for anything. He's asking Jackson this is the throw the game gate, I guess. I don't know. But
throw the gate.
I mean, if I was Jackson's looking to put up a 12 or 13 game win streak. I mean, can't kill it. That's bad juju going into the playoffs.
We really need to take a hard look in the mirror this offseason and get some of these loose ends through this. I mean, this is diabolical.
I hear
I'm hearing. Oh, go ahead. Is that it? Are we done with this part?
Yeah, that's gonna wrap that up.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hit the Sunday recap.
Sounds good.